Good evening. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and it's currently Monday, just about 7 o'clock on the 30th of March, and I wanted to bring my daily recap of things that happened today. Again, our goal here is to try and let you know the things that affect you and your ability to get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. And to that end, I recap the events of today and see just how they all interact and what it really all means to you. So today, really big news. Dr. Burke, who happened to be one of the lead doctors in the president's coronavirus task force, made a statement, and she said, under the best case scenario, if everybody's doing what they're supposed to do across the United States, the entire United States, that the death toll from COVID-19 could be anywhere between 100 and 200,000 deaths. 100 to 200,000 dead is what she's projecting under the best case scenario. So that's a really big deal. And for people who didn't think that this was a real deal, a month ago, surprise, it's happening. It's happening big time, and even a president finally is coming on board with it, with the understanding that, yeah, big things are happening and they're not happy. Now, right now, the U.S. took the #1 spot on the 26th with a leading number of cases, and we've far outpaced Italy right now. Right now, the U.S. has got over 160,000 cases right now, confirmed cases, 2,950 deaths so far, and a little bright bit of news in there is that 5,500 people have recovered from the actual disease. Italy only has 101,000 cases, but of their cases, of Italy, they had 11,000 dead already, and 1,400 recovered. Now, so Italy has 11,000 cases dead. Of the 101,000 cases, Italy has 11,000 that are dead. We have 160,000 cases right now. Right now, we only have just under 3,000 dead. Now, New York is ground zero for this. New York has 40% of the cases right now, 10% worldwide, but 40% of the U.S. cases are centered in the New York State area. Now, right now, New York has 66,000 cases, 1,200 deaths. 790 of those are in New York City by themselves. The governor doesn't expect this to peak in New York for another 14 to 21 days. So things are still happening. New Jersey got the #2 spot with 16,000 cases right now reported and 198 deaths right now. It's spreading. It's spreading big time. The next expected places are in cities like New Orleans, Detroit, and Chicago. Right now, just saw an announcement today, 51 Italian doctors who tested positive for coronavirus have all died. 51 Italian doctors who tested positive for corona died. Now, the people in our front lines, EMS, the doctors, the nurses, all these people in the front lines, are exposed every minute of every day of their work. One doctor today, I noticed that she said she had 5 13-hour shifts in a row. 5 13-hour shifts. And she's not just laying there with her feet up. Things are happening. They're under a lot of stress. Now, the Defense Production Act got put into place, and right now it sounds as though, again, it was only for ventilators though, it sounds as though they're going to be able to put out about 50,000 ventilators in 100 days. That sounds really good, except that New York needed about 40,000 ventilators. They're probably about 20,000 shy right now, and they're projecting the peak of this in 14 to 21 days. So 50,000 ventilators for the United States 100 days out from now is not the biggest help in the world. It's better than nothing, but it's not the biggest help in the world. If this got put into place, if the government was serious about this a month ago, a lot of things could have already been in place. They're not in place yet. Now, more and more states are starting to take this serious, but you still got states like Florida, Mississippi, and Texas that still don't have stay-at-home orders yet. State of Virginia had just mentioned, I don't have it confirmed yet, but they're talking about a 70-day stay-at-home order. So some people are getting serious about this. Washington, D.C. just put a stay-at-home order in place. Okay, so the capital is pretty much shut down at this point in time. The state governors are still bidding between themselves. Again, the Defense Production Act was put into place for ventilators, but not for the rest of the supplies. So the governors are still going back and forth with a limited number of suppliers trying to get supplies for their individual states. And then FEMA comes in and snaps up some other things. Okay. This is a national disaster at this point in time. It needs a coordinated national response. The federal government has a responsibility here. They can't shift this over to the states because it doesn't work that way. This is not a state issue at this point in time. This is a federal issue at this point in time. If the states continue to do this, then nobody's going to get the supplies that they need. The federal government needs to step in, absolutely needs to step in, and control the supply chain for things that people need. That's the only way this is going to work. Now, they're not. They're not, and that's a bit of a problem. A little bit of good news is that yesterday Abbott Lab announced a 5-minute test, okay, for COVID. That's really great. And the president was doing his briefing today, had the machine there, very nice optics. He's very good at staging a press conference. He's good on TV. He understands the TV value of things. However, Abbott Lab needs time to get this thing into production. The testing is still 10 days around for some results for some people. Okay, and he touts that we're testing more than any other country. Yeah, we may be. However, our per capita testing is still exceptionally behind other countries. And right now, okay, in the presidential precinct for the COVID virus today, they're talking about the possibility of universal masking. That means that they're just this side of making a recommendation, or at least considering at this point in time, that everyone, whenever they go out, wears a mask. Everyone. They don't need the high-tech mask, but they need a mask. That's happening. The social distancing was extended to day number 15 of the original social distancing order from the president. Now it's extended as of yesterday to April 30th. A little bit of good news. Again, the president announced that there's a few machines right now. Somebody came up with something that can sterilize the N95 masks so they can be safely reused. That's a real good deal. It sounds as though they can turn a lot of those around. However, there's only a few of these machines. One of them's going to New York, and they've got 3 or 4 other ones. So there are not a lot of these machines, but that's a possibility for some help somewhere along the lines. The markets today are up 691 points. I don't believe the bottom's in place yet. This is like 4 days now. This is going up. That's really good. I'm still not in a rush to go out and buy things at this point in time. As this continues, as the death toll rises, okay, the markets are not going to be happy. Some sections of the markets are going to be exceptionally happy because, again, companies that get federal contracts, companies that are making all this PPE stuff, their stocks are going up hands down. But the rest of the stuff is not working real well because, again, most people are still stuck at home under stay-at-home orders. Now, all those things are nice. That's what's happening in the world, in the news, in the political aspects. How does any of that really affect you? Well, the things that affect you are the stimulus package, the recovery package they put through last week. Okay. The federal payments are due out. They're in process right now. Okay. It's important to file your tax return so that you get your money. Even if you have no money due to you, if you don't normally file a tax return. Maybe you're on Social Security, maybe you're disabled, maybe you're elderly, okay? File a tax return. Okay, so that the government has your current address and your bank information so they can get direct deposit to you. If you're an individual, you're likely to get a $1,200 direct deposit. If you're married filing jointly, you're likely to see a $2,400. If you've got a kid, you're going to see an additional $500 for each kid. Now, this doesn't mean you needed a W-2. So if you're a gig worker or you get a 1099, okay, as long as you're showing something on the return, okay, as long as you've got a return filed, okay, you're going to get this money. But file a return so that they have your current address, your current banking information, so they can get the money to you as soon as it's available. Okay. That's a real big deal for a lot of people, because a lot of people are still, okay, they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they're a little bit behind right now. So, unemployment benefits, also, if you've been laid off, okay, have been extended for an extra 13 weeks beyond the normal unemployment for your state. Also, with this federal law that was just passed, the relief package that was passed last week, if you're unemployed for the first 4 months, a full 4 months, you're going to get an additional $400 per week over and above what your state unemployment normally pays out. So that's a really big deal. That's going to help a lot of people. Now, because of this, there's always somebody that's going to try and get their hands in things and muddy the pie. Okay, watch out for the scams. There will be scams. There will be people making calls to you, telling you, oh yeah, we want to get your stimulus payment to you, but we need your account information, we need your bank account information, your social security number, or anything else. Okay, the IRS will not make calls. You're automatically in the program. As long as you've got your tax return, okay, you're in. If they don't have a tax return, file a tax return. But the IRS will never call you asking for information. They will not ask you for your social security number. They will not ask for your date of birth. They will not ask for your banking information. The IRS will simply not call you at all, ever. They always initiate contact with a mail, with regular mail. Now, the IRS also will not email you asking for information. You will see emails come up. In the next week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I guarantee you, you will see emails that look as though they're from the government. They are not. Okay? Okay. These emails are going to be asking you to go to a site and put in your personal information to confirm your stuff so that you get your payment. Do not click the links in those emails. Simply do not click the links to those emails. They're scams. So, the IRS doesn't email or call. The states will not email or call. If you get someone saying they're from the state and they want your personal information, they're probably not from the state. Don't call. Okay, I will provide a link that you can go to and report these attempted scams, and you're going to see them. I can guarantee that you're going to see attempted scams come through. Now, with everything that's going on, now's a good time to rethink your plan A. Things have happened. Things are not going to go back to the way they were. You need to rethink your plan A. You need to supplement it with a plan B of something that's going to work for you. Now, your job may come back, it may not. If it does, that's great. But do you want to be in this position again? So the only way not to be in that position is to have something off to the side that you can do on your own. Some type of plan B that works for you. Okay. I have the link in my my YouTube channel. Okay, go to the YouTube channel. After this, I'll post it there on 10 Keys to an Ideal Business. That'll give you some ideas of the types of things that will work out well for a business for you. Also, be aware that you've got pretty much a 40% chance of getting COVID at this point in time. 40% chance. Some people have health insurance, some people don't. For those that do, there's generally a copay of something that's your responsibility. The average treatment cost is somewhere between $42,000 and $74,000 for one case of COVID. If you get sick, your cost could be as high as $42,000 to $74,000. If you've got insurance, that's great. However, most insurance only pays on average between $22,000 and $38,000. That leaves a really big gaping hole of $20,000 to $36,000 that is your potential cost, your potential out-of-pocket cost. You can't do anything about it at this point in time, but you need to be aware of that. And remember, that's even more reason to remember that viruses don't move by themselves. People move viruses. So if people don't move, the virus stops moving. Simply stay at home. Virus doesn't move by itself. It doesn't have a car. It's not going to go traveling across the room. It doesn't have airplanes going to go from one city to another city. People move the virus. If people don't move, the virus stops moving. Stay at home. Don't have COVID parties. Some people are having COVID parties. They're not brilliant, but they're having them. Generally, the young people. If you're 50 or older, you got a little bit more sense to you. If you're 20, you think you're invincible and nothing's going to happen to you. Wrong. Okay. Young people are getting sick. It happens quickly. They're getting put in an event, and they end up dying within 3 days. Things happen. So don't change your behavior to avoid infection. Assume that you're infected and just change your behavior to avoid the transmission. Now, what you can do, homemade masks and bandanas, they're coming in vogue at this point in time. Now's a good time to keep your droplets to yourself. Anytime you speak at all, there are going to be little droplets of saliva coming out of your mouth. If you have a mask on and you're out in public, chances are then you cannot transmit that, or you'll slow it down at least before it gets to somebody else. You have to go out occasionally. You need to go, to the grocery store. You need to go to the pharmacy. You may have some underlying health condition that you need to go to the doctors or to the hospital. And most hospitals and doctors' offices are going to try and tell you to stay home as much as possible and avoid the routine visits as much as you possibly can. Now, the last 15 days and the upcoming 30 days of social distancing has really reduced the number of blood donations. The American Red Cross still needs blood. Things are happening, but because of all the social distancing, people don't make the normal blood donations the way they normally would. Okay. Now's a good time. When you're out, give it some consideration. Go to the Red Cross. I'll give you a link, and they'll show you where their local center is, and you can give blood. That's something you can do right now. Instead of just sitting at home, watching the news constantly, going crazy, that's something you can do. It's a productive thing you can do, and you can make a difference. Now, again, people are just starting to take this seriously. There are some parts of the country that aren't, but more and more cities, especially the cities, are taking this exceptionally seriously. Now, there are going to be peaks in different parts of the country at different periods of time. And that's probably a good thing. But New York still is the center of things. And as they're the center, whatever's happening there is going to happen somewhere else. And whatever they've learned there can be applied to the next city that peaks. Louisiana, New Orleans is starting to look like one of those spots. Chicago is looking like one of those spots. Now, there are going to be medical shortages. There's staffing shortages. They're coming up. In the next couple of weeks, they're coming up. Despite all the people that are volunteering, and that's great, there are still going to be shortages of personnel. EMS services are going absolutely crazy with the number of calls. Only call EMS when you have a real emergency. Check yourself every morning. Lay flat in bed before you get out of bed at all. Lay flat in bed. Lay down, flat. Lift your arms up and breathe in. While you're breathing in, with your arms up, hold your breath, lower your arms, slowly. Do that for 10 to 15 seconds. If you can hold your breath for 15 seconds with that big breath of air in there, you'll be in relatively good shape. That was an exercise I used to show people when they were in a hospital when I was doing respiratory therapy. It's an excellent exercise to expand your lungs and get your diaphragm to actually work. If you're having problems doing that, if you're short of breath, you can't do that at all, contact a doctor or EMS. If you're short of breath for more than a couple minutes, contact your doctor. A COVID situation like this, if you're infected, it's in your lungs already, it'll be very restrictive. And your lungs are like little sacs, and what happens with the sacs is that they get full of fluid. It's a pneumonia type situation, and there's no room for the air to get in there, and they can't expand. So if you are short of breath, and that's lasting for a couple minutes, contact your doctor, contact EMS to see what's going on. Things can turn around exceptionally quickly with this. You could feel fine in the morning, a little huff or puff, and then midway through the day, start feeling really short of breath, and in 8 to 24 hours, you could end up in a ventilator already. So this can happen relatively quickly. Check yourself every morning, do that exercise, breathe in, hold your breath, lower your arms, slowly, 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 and breathe out. If you can do that, hold your breath for 15 seconds or so, you're probably going to be okay at that point in time. If you can't, contact somebody. Now, that's what you can do to be personally responsible to yourself for your own behavior. That's important. Okay? Be nice. Check on your family and neighbors. Check on the elderly. Video calls are great to ease the isolation. And there's a lot of isolation right now. It's going to end up increasing. So those video calls to your friends, neighbors, and family are going to be really important. The nation is starting to come together, but this is going to be a very terrorizing time very, very quickly as those deaths start to roll in. Again, I didn't project those deaths. Okay. The news isn't projecting those deaths. This is Dr. Birx, who was on the president's hand-picked coronavirus task force, working directly with the vice president and Dr. Fauci. She made that statement. She made that determination that if everything goes perfectly across the United States, everybody does what they're supposed to do, there could be 100 to 200,000 deaths. And the president thinks if he can get it down to 100,000 deaths, he's doing a great job. 100,000 deaths. Okay, there's a lot of people. Okay, so be careful. Okay, take personal responsibility. Cover your mouths when you go out. Okay, it's starting that time. Okay, get a mask, get a bandana if you're going out. Keep the droplets to yourself. You can't stay inside forever. You have to go out for at least groceries. Okay, have some personal responsibility when you do that. Keep your droplets to yourself. Now, I know each and every one of you is really doing your part. It's difficult. This is a very trying time. Okay, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And remember that whenever you have a nighttime, daytime is always going to be there at some point in time. You just have to understand, day is going to come after the nighttime. All the time. It always works that way. We will get over this. When you do, you'll be in a much better position because you'll be much more self-sufficient. You'll get banged up along the way, but you'll be much more self-sufficient. So when the next problem occurs, you're going to go through that much easier. Now, other things that you can do if you've got small kids at home, check with on Facebook. Dr. Terry, my wife, does a bedtime reading for small kids. She enjoys that. She does it around 7:30 or so. I've got a number of links that I will post when I post this on my YouTube channel. I go through and I try and find things that are interesting. Some are informative, some are just interesting, some are updates on what's going on. But I'm always going to have something different on there every day. So some basic links. Again, the one for the 10 keys for an ideal business, that's going to be there every day. The drrousenow.com link is going to be there, so you can take a peek at that and see if it's going to help you or not. But there are other interesting links there. Okay, take a peek at those things. Go on YouTube, watch the video, like the video, and send it off to friends so they can like and share the video also. Again, I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor. I'm here to help you to get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. I'm glad that you're here. If you got questions or concerns, please email me or private message me. I'll try and address those in the next show. But for now, thanks for being here. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Thank you.